Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Very Veggie Legacy Challenge. If you're new, welcome. Returning, thank you so much for coming back. Today's video is a little bit different than what we typically do. If you recall, the last episode that we had, our founder Sim Jade, who is representing the broccoli generation, is now expecting, and her boyfriend Alfonso moved in. So it's time to upgrade our space a little bit, make some room for a new baby, and I also wanted to have a separate place for our business. I really struggled when it came to the layout of the house, if I wanted to do the business side by side, if I wanted to do up and down, or a completely separate building for the business. I ended up going with a side to side. I even struggled with like how many floors I wanted to do. At first I was like 3 floors sounds good, but then I remembered how awful I am at trying to put in stairs. So I did not do that. I stuck with 2 stories. I ended up making the business side a little bit like wider because when I was trying to put in our tattoo chairs, I was having a really hard time trying to orient them in a way. Eventually, I'd like to make it more of like an art studio, but right now we're just kind of rocking with what we got money wise. Which I will say in the beginning, I was like trying to be a little bit stingy. And then towards the middle, I was like, oh, like we definitely have the money to do what I want to do here. But in the end, there were still some things that were almost, I wouldn't say unfinished. Everything is there that we need, but it's not perfect by any means. And it's not 100% complete. There's still some colors and decorations that I would really love to put in. But for now, it'll do. I did add some like boxes around to make it kind of look like, hey, we just moved in. There's still maybe painting, just kind of adds to the story a little bit, I think, I didn't want to run our budget all the way down to zero. You can just see that I put in on the top like an open space area. I really wanted to do like a rooftop cafe. Don't ask what it has anything to do with our business at all. I just thought it would be a good opportunity for us to make a little bit more money, and I thought it'd be really cute if we added some lights and all that stuff. Again, like I said, like later I would like to make it more of a art studio, more paintings, maybe some more like separate rooms. So maybe in the future we will make it completely separate. And here you can see, again, I was struggling with the layout of how I wanted the steps. So that's why I really did it first, because I wanted to know how I wanted to lay out the rest of the house. And so that's why I did that first. In the end, it still didn't really help. I went back and forth a lot on the actual layout of the house, but I was able to sneak in like a little half bath situation. And that's kind of the first thing I worked on. I don't know why. It was just like, I really wanted to get it all taken care of. And I've tried putting in like a walk-in shower because I've seen people make those before and I think that they look really nice, but I myself do not have a lot of building experience. So you'll see after finicking with the shower a bit, I actually ended up putting in a washer and dryer. Honestly, I don't know why, because I know it's going to make our game so much harder with having our Sims have to keep up with laundry. But I thought that it came out really cute, and I do think that, I just thought it looked really cute. I really loved like the hanging like shelf that I end up putting up over there. And I don't really do a lot of laundry in The Sims, even though when the pack first came out, I really loved the idea of it. I really like the idea of having a little bit more realism in my Sims games, no matter how hard it might make it. I also, with the bust the dust kit, I have that one also, but that one I feel is a little bit more hard to keep up with because I feel like the Sims will like vacuum and then 5 minutes later there are dust bunnies all over the place, even though we literally just vacuumed. Anyway, they didn't have any like dark green washer dryer sets, so I believe I ended up just going with white washer and dryer. I really liked the blue colors, but I just felt like it didn't really fit. So I did. But the tiles green, the floors green, like there are enough green elements in the house that I think you can kind of tell like where we're going. So I also kind of struggled looking for exactly what I wanted. I knew that there was a shelf that came with the pack, which luckily you can filter out by pack. But for some reason, it took me a really long time to find like certain items that I wanted. I do end up using the shelf that comes with the plants and a couple of different like open spots, and I actually end up putting up some Kleenex and some laundry detergent. I had a thought kind of while watching this back that I think maybe it'd be really cool if I connected the business and the house so it still kind of looks like one piece, but there's like a hallway in between that can maybe also double as an employee lounge because I would really love to try to take that on and do a little employee employee lounge. I think that would be really cute. So here I'm adding some decor. I honestly don't know why I did not build or furnish the rest of the house like this, but in my mind, this room, I just wanted it to be really cute, a little bit cluttered, which it could have waited to be honest, because the rest of the house is a little bit lackluster in terms of decor. But anyway, one less room that we'll have to worry about in terms of how to decorate. Oh my gosh, I can't actually remember that I spent this long, and I actually did cut some of it out. So and it's at 2.5 speed, so that's kind of crazy that I took that long. I tried to look for a wallpaper. I have actually never used this style before, and I thought it looked really cute. I don't know if it contrasts with like the bottom tile, but I really liked it. So I think I'm gonna keep it for now. But if you have any thoughts or suggestions, feel free to leave them down below. Yeah, as you can see, I was very indecisive. This whole build, I was completely indecisive. I cut out a lot of like layout issues, and I actually ended up going back to how I originally wanted to lay out the house, which, like I said, it's not perfect. I do anticipate maybe trying to build it a little bit better in the future. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I might get sidetracked and forget that I want to make it a bigger house sometimes. As long as it works functionally for me, I just kind of play or I'll just add things that I need like as we go. So I switched over to the business side. As you can see, I can finally remember to add that kiosk now that we have another wellness mat and a couple more easels so that they can actually come and they'll be charged by the hour to be using our equipment as well as be paying for the service. I wanted them to have their own bathroom again because I wanted our space to be completely separate from the business because I didn't want them coming in and, well, honestly, breaking our computer, breaking our toilet. Like that happened. That's going to happen enough with the business as it is. And I even kind of toyed around with putting like the outside stalls, but I ended up being able to sneak this little bathroom in the corner, which you can see I'll move those. Yep. Move the tattoo chairs. And in the future, like I said, I will want to make kind of like everyone like their own separate space. Like maybe it's a big spot and then like you walk in and there's an entrance with like the check-in, like a little desk or whatever, and there's just separate areas so that it's kind of a little bit more sectioned off, a little bit more organized. But as for right now, I think it works for what we have, which is not much. And there is only one bathroom, which, let's be honest, probably is not going to work out very well. But I even end up bringing that one tile in because we have the room, which I didn't think it was going to let me. I thought that having the Sims walk in and out of the stall was going to require a little bit more room, but I guess we'll see as we play if that's actually true, if they'll be able to use it. So I have not play tested this at all, but I don't foresee there being any major issues with that. So moving on to the little easels, I made this little art corner. So the activities are kind of separate, even though they are really close to each other. And I wish I would have put more wall decor. And again, it does look a little bit boring, but you know, as I said, we'll upgrade a little bit more in the future. I really wanted to do the stacked canvases, but as you can see, they're locked behind a career, which there are cheats absolutely where you're able to unlock that and use it, but I didn't really want to do that, and the space isn't big enough anyway. So even if I was able to get that there, I wouldn't have been able to put it in there unless I made it bigger. So I added this open and close sign on the outside. I thought it was super cute, and I actually kind of like how the cafe is extended, so the porch is completely covered. So I felt like I was able to keep the kiosk thing and the open sign out there because it it won't like it won't get struck by, well, okay, it might still get struck by lightning, who knows, it's The Sims. But I toyed with only having one tattoo bed, but as you can see, I ended up putting it back because if you recall, we do have 2 employees. My tentative plan is to have one employee staffed upstairs to serve, and then Jade will help with tattooing because her skill is at like a level 9. And depending on how things go with the business, we might be able to hire another employee. But I do need Jade to be, well, it is her business. She should be involved either way. But we moved upstairs here to this little cafe area. So the first thing I did was try to find the little coffee stand, which took me a while. But I knew that I needed to kind of cover it because it's more of an electronic. And you know how things are when they're outside and it's raining. So it took me forever to find a little covering for it. And I thought of putting a canopy over the entire thing or adding like a roof over the entire thing, but for now, this is just kind of what we got going on for us. I put that little wall thing on the left. What that actually is for paintings, and she can sell her paintings. So I thought it'd be really cool up in the cafe area where she can sell her paintings to different Sims who want to buy it. So we'll have our services. So tattooing, we'll be able to offer mentoring as people are painting, and we will also have the ability to sell them. I cut it out, but I actually ended up taking out every single sign that I could find to find the one that I thought would fit the aesthetic of our little coffee thing. And I added that little shelf that had blankets, and I thought it was really cute because they're going to be outside. So it's kind of like, hey, if it's a little cold, you can like grab a blanket. I mean, obviously in The Sims, they can't like go up and grab a blanket, but aesthetics. I also cut out the part where I took out a bunch of different tables and a bunch of different chairs, and I just kind of like played around because it is a little bit more of an artsy place. I wanted to be able to do chairs that are like different colors. Just, I don't know, it felt a little bit more artsy, a little bit more like family. I don't know, I just felt like it fit a little bit better that our chairs were different colors, especially with it being an art studio. I guess I don't know. I thought it came out really cute. I was able to use different colored chairs in different spots, and I put a standing table over on the other side, which I don't know if they'll use, but again, I thought it was really cute. I also knew that I wanted to add a bunch of string lights, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that without using the move objects sheets. So the move objects is bb.moveobjects space on. And with that, you're able to place objects anywhere. The only thing when you do that is you have to be careful with where you're placing them because sometimes those objects will become unfunctional. So I try to remember to turn it off when I'm done with doing these kinds of things because I will forget to turn it off and then I will accidentally put something in a spot where the sim is not able to actually access it. When it comes to wintertime, I'm not really sure what we're going to do. Maybe we could put like a flat roof off and make it like a glass roof. Maybe that would be really pretty. So here we're just adding some more string lights. Like I said, I wanted it to just be very like whimsical. So that is why there's something about string lights that just they look so pretty. And I feel like they add it doesn't look like much, but I feel like it does. It does add. So I think we're pretty much done here. Yep, just adding some flooring to it and then we'll add the outside. I ended up using the wood for both the top and the bottom. I just felt like it fit to have them be the same continuity, I guess, for having them both be the same, as well as the half wall trim. So that is actually a half wall that is boxing in the entire little cafe. So I am realizing now that I forgot to put a trash can up there, so the Sims are going to actually have to go all the way downstairs. I think when we load back into the game, I'm going to remember to put a trash can up there, an outdoor trash can as well, so that they don't have to keep going back up and down the stairs to be able to in and out. So now we are about to move into move back to the residential part of the build. It took me a while to even decide what staircases and handles I want. I don't know why. I just get so picky about that sometimes. But anyways, we're going to be going into the inside here. You can see me turning the cheats off because, again, like I said, I will put something in a spot where a sim can't use it, and then I'll be like, what's going on? So moving to the inside, I wanted them to walk into the kitchen. I felt like that made the most sense for the layout to put the kitchen and dining room as you walked in, and then off of that, we will put the living room. So just kind of doing the layout. I kept what we had going on in the other house, again, just because, well, I didn't want to pay for them to be brand new. And I really liked the idea of them having like a little bar. So I'm going to add some stools, just something, some place for them to sit. I just think it adds it adds to it. It makes it look a little bit more family friendly. There's more spots to sit. You know, I can picture maybe their kids eating breakfast there and stuff like that. So picking out a green stool to match. Putting in our sink. I did remember to put a trash can in the kitchen, so applause for that. And here you can see me trying to figure out layout. The first thing I wanted to do was kind of find the couch I wanted because I couldn't remember how many tiles it took up. I believe it's from the Paranormal Stuff Pack. I don't know why. I really love the throw blanket. It just makes it look very homey. So we ended up using that. I wasn't completely in love with there being a small space between the bathroom and the couch, but looking back at it now, I'm actually not too upset with the way that it looks. So I actually end up changing out that TV as well for something a little bit cheaper per se. Got our rocking chair back in. I believe I was able to actually keep it in there. I don't remember, but I guess we'll find out together. So I'm walling off the kitchen just because I thought it looked a little bit too open. I do love open concepts, but it just seemed like there was a lot of space. So I really wanted to add like an archway to get in. And here I was thinking that I would wall that part off and that could be where the table went, but I didn't like the look of the stairs being super closed off. So I ended up bringing it in one tile and being able to squeeze the computer in there, which, by the way, was super satisfying. So we have a little area for the table, but I'm actually really not too concerned about it because, I mean, right now it's those two and the baby on the way. Well, I mean, I guess she could have twins. We don't really know what she's having, but yeah. So we added that little TV, which kind of reminded me of the 90s. I don't know if any of you had them, but growing up, we had like a really big TV with a huge like outlay on the back, so it wasn't like a flat screen, but we had one of those. That's not the TV that you're looking at. I don't know why I thought to bring it up, but I never play with platforms, but I thought it would be really cute if I leveled it up one so they're kind of stepping up. I don't think that I need to put stairs in for that, but I guess we'll see once we get loaded into the game. Playing around with the wallpaper, I thought that first screen was a little bit too much, so I added this wallpaper. I've never actually used it before, but I really liked that it kind of fit with like the couch and the TV, like a little bit more of like I don't know, I want to say retro, but maybe it's not retro, and I made the TV look a little bit used. Maybe they got it off like Plopsy or people selling their old TV. I'm not really sure, but like I said, I wanted it to look like, yes, they are just moving in, but they still can't afford like the nicest of things. You know what I mean? And they really can't. I know it looks like we have a lot of money right now, but I blow through a lot of it when we move to the upstairs, when we go through like getting the furniture that we need for the baby. And I put 2 bathrooms up there. So this ended up being a 2 bedroom, 3 bathroom house. Well, 2.5 bath, because the one downstairs is a half. So I like the idea of Jade and Alfonso having their own bathroom. So adding in some windows. I try to put windows in each room, and I like the appearance of natural light, so I did try to add a lot of windows. And from the outside, I do feel like the windows look very weird, but I feel like when you look at it on the inside, it makes a lot of sense. So I think if we go and build again, I will actually probably lay out the windows first. I don't know why. To me, I like the way, like if the windows are put like symmetrically and they look nice, like they might look weird on the inside, but I also really like using this octopane one and putting 2 next to each other. I don't know why. I feel like it looks really cute. So here we're moving upstairs. I did go back and forth again with the layout a lot, but this is what we ended up settling on. I thought about putting carpet in the 2 rooms, but I did decide against it. And I have tile in the bathrooms and then wood in the bedrooms and the hallway. So I don't know why, but I feel like that the carpet texture just doesn't really like, it doesn't look like carpet to me, I guess. Like it looks weird, but I'm probably just overthinking it. So again, just it looks plain and boring because it is just white wallpaper, but there's room for painting in the future as we are able to have some more decorations. So as you can see here, this is Jade and Alfonso's room, and they're going to have their own bathroom off to the side where I did tinker with putting in a walk-in shower. It didn't go as I expected, but I think in the end it did come out nice. So here you can see I'm now finally realizing that how the windows are going to look on the outside. So I played around with trying a few different windows to try to make it look nice, but in the end, I just went back to the octopane and just making it make a little bit more sense for the room. So it really does bother me that they're not completely symmetrical. I might have fixed it. I don't recall. Looks like I did, but in the future, like I said, I will pay a little bit more attention to the window placement. So I put our cute little pictures up. I did end up putting one downstairs by the computer just because I thought it would look better. You know, when they're working on the computer, they can see a picture of them. So remember to put the thermostat in, and I put in the attic decorations. Sorry, I forgot the name for a second for some reason. And in order for the laundry to be functional, well, yeah, functional, you need to have a laundry basket so your Sims can put their laundry in something. So at first I wanted to put in a jet style tub, but I ended up deciding against it just because the bathroom I felt was not big enough to be able to do that and a walk-in shower, which I really wanted. In the future, we may extend it so they can do both. There's a lot of really cute bathroom ideas that also include platforms that I would really love to experiment with in the future. I thought I was going to be able to put some decor. I'm sure if I would have used the move object sheets, I would have been able to put that little shower caddy in there, but I ended up not doing that. And I pulled out a couple of decorations just because sometimes when I go through clutter, I'll find something that I want, and then when I go to look for it again, I cannot find it to save my life. So that's why they're sitting out on the floor. And sometimes I will go for like a standalone sink, but I wanted to try it with counters. And there are some, I don't want to say cheats, but there are some tools you can use in order to get it to go on the counter so you can put more clutter on the counter. But I did not mess with that so much this time around. Just kept it kind of simple. So here we're putting in that sink and some toothbrushes. And I don't think I ended up using I think I ended up going back and putting towels there. I'm also now realizing I don't think I really put any plants in the house. So that may have to change, but with our plants on the outside, I would eventually like for us to make like a little greenhouse. I think that would be really cute. Almost finished up in the bathroom, little window. So try to put in a spot so that it wouldn't be, I don't know why. I know they're just Sims and they're not actually looking into the window of the bathroom, but in a spot that would make sense for it being a bathroom. And then over in the kids' room, I put a towel, a tub shower combo. I just think it makes more sense when they're infants, they're going to need baths. And then, like, as they grow older, they may prefer shower. And honestly, the showers are faster. Here you see me tinkering with wallpaper colors. I ended up just sticking with white because I thought the green was a little bit too overpowering. I did kind of like the leaf wallpaper, but any thoughts or opinions you have, I would really love to hear it because, like I said, I am very new, and maybe it's not too much, and I do have a too much trait. So, moving on to the kids' bathroom, I wanted it to very clearly be a kids' bathroom. So yeah, here you can see me changing out the towels there. So I did add like a kid style rug, and I did add a towel holder with the towels like a little bit mismatched. And I know that they're just about to have a baby, so realistically that doesn't make sense. But in the future, when their child grows up, this would make sense for it to be a kid's bathroom that kind of looks like this. And we can probably add, as they age up, a little bit more clutter, a little bit more like, hey, there's dirty clothes on the floor, stuff like that. So we are almost finished here. I wanted to add a couple of boxes in the parents' again. Like I'm like, oh shoot, I am kind of running out of money, and I still have to do the kids' room, and there's still not a lot of decor out. So I figured by adding those boxes, it would kind of add an element to the game where it's like, hey, like we're still moving in, we're still painting, we're still, you know. So I ended up doing purple for that bathroom because it is going to be the eggplant generation. So the room will probably eventually be purple as well. As for right now, it just has some purple accents. So I was able to put in a changing table, a crib, a playmat. I believe I put in some books as well. I still, well, like I said, I really want to add some clutter, but that'll probably go as we start getting a little bit more money. And I really like the crib that I picked, although I probably could have just had her have the baby and they would give you a free crib and then you could sell it for $150, which it seems silly. It's just a quick way to make 150 bucks, but I was going back and forth between this one, which is a spellcaster one, and the fairy one, but ultimately I ended up going with the fairy one. I just really loved the look of the wood and the purple. Unfortunately, there was no purple swatch of the changing table, so we just kept that in the original swatch. For rugs, I believe, yeah, I went with like the color theory one that is purple. We may change that a little bit up in the future, but adding some windows, and I do add a curtain as well. So adding some curtains. There are just enough purple accents where you can tell that it's going to be for the eggplant, but not enough. We will change that. And we will add some more toys and everything. I'm actually really excited. I'm really excited for them to have their little baby, and I am going to try really hard to not have Jade die because we still have a couple of things we have to finish for her generation to be complete. So I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to her mood and trying to calm herself down when she is angry, because every time she has died, it's because she was angry. And the last time, if you watch the last episode, she was actually getting robbed. So she got robbed and died as she was getting robbed, and then continued to get robbed, which I've actually never had that happen before. So it was kind of funny. And I got a little bit frustrated. But like I said, we are going to, in the future, work on that. Working on the roof, I was not sure exactly what I wanted to do because I didn't really add a lot of shape to the outside other than the cafe and the half wall. So I did play around with putting like the half wall up there and like, oh, we can make it a green space and put solar panels and stuff like that. But I ended up just going with a pitched roof, which it's kind of boring, but it is what it is. So now we are finished. So to give an official tour, you walk up and we have our business, which has the mats, the easels, and the tattoo bed. If you walk upstairs, we have our outdoor cafe. And in the future, I think I would like to add some stuff in the center of those tables. I think that would be really cute. And I'm also noticing I forgot to put wallpaper up there. So another thing that I'm going to have to do when we load in. And then going to the residential side, of course, you walk into the kitchen. I ended up adding another light because it looked very dark in here. So you walk into the kitchen, and then eventually on the right side, we're going to have a dining room table for them to sit and enjoy meals together. So off of the kitchen, you walk up into the living room, and we have, of course, that half bath with the laundry stuff in there as well. And then going upstairs, sorry, I was very proud with how I decorated that room. Going upstairs, we have the baby's room, and then to the left we have the kids' bathroom. And then we have the parents' room with the ensuite. So that is the house that we have. It is definitely not the final version. We'll end up with a bigger, better house with different ideas. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the speed build. It's my first time doing something like this. So if you have any suggestions or you want to see anything, please leave them in the comments down below, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.